Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Thursday. It's June 20th. It is 2024. We have a 7-game MLB slate to talk about here on today's podcast that gets kicked off at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. We got a day slate here on Thursday. Joined today by my good buddy, Christy Metzger, Krayton12. Christy, what's happening, my friend?
Hey, not too much, Stevie. Good to see you. I was actually on crunch time earlier today, so getting a good baseball fix today with all my RotoGrinder people. So awesome to be here, and good little slate for us too tomorrow.
You know I love day baseball. Everyone in chat knows that I love day baseball. It's not a secret. So I'm
Love
actually
it.
on crunch time for this slate.
Are you? Okay, perfect.
Me and Cardi, I get to give Cardi a hard time. It's always fun to give him a hard time.
Yes, it
So
is.
what's up, chat? Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. I had a decent day slate, and the night slate is still too early to kind of tell how it's going to shape up. But hopefully, everyone's having a good one. Chat's active. Christy, how are you doing on the Wednesday slate?
You know, I could have a little sweat going here too. I've got a couple stacks that I had Brown in quite a few of my lineups tonight, and so I've got a Rockies stack, and then I've got some Milwaukee action here in the late part of it. So far so good, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, very interested in the Brewers and seeing how they kind of shape up here. So hopefully you get a little sweat and yeah. So let's play some, or let's talk some baseball here for the early Thursday slate. We get started with Arizona at Washington. 9 total in this game. Ryan Nelson against Mackenzie Gore. Any interest here in Ryan Nelson?
No, I really don't have any interest in him. He is cheap, that's for sure, but yeah, not a ton of interest for me. Washington is a team, not that I target necessarily a ton, but they do have some good stolen base upside, and they do have some pop in the lineup too. So yeah, not a ton of interest for me.
Yeah, Nelson's just not a great pitcher. I mean, he's a below average strikeout pitcher. He's sitting around 16% on the season, kind of right where he
Yes.
was at
Yep.
last season. Gives up a lot of hard contact to both sides of the plate. So, I mean, a guy with a below average strikeout rate, below average whiff rate, below average swinging strike rate. And I think this is just going to be a spot that I leave him on the bench against a low strikeout team. Any interest in Mackenzie Gore on the other side of this one?
Yeah, I do have interest in Mackenzie Gore. I mean, he's 8,900. I mean, he's been pitching well. I mean, he's had a couple spots where it's maybe been a little bit tougher for him, but he has done well. He's got a 28% K rate, and numbers look pretty good. Gives up a pretty low walk rate too. So I do have interest. I know there's a couple batters on the Arizona side that, you know, Ketel Marte has been playing well, and Gurriel, but I still do like Mackenzie Gore in this spot. Has some good upside.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just attacking just overall ceiling, he has to be on the list today. He has a 28% strikeout rate on the season.
Yes.
Over 7 strikeouts in 4 of his last 5 starts. So don't necessarily love the matchup. Arizona is much better against left-handed pitching than they are against right-handed pitching this season. But with that said, we don't have a lot of ceiling pitchers on the slate. So I'm definitely going to be looking at playing some Mackenzie Gore. Arizona bats, Ketel Marte, you mentioned him. He's been one of the best hitters in baseball against left-handed pitching this season. What are your thoughts here on the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, as much as I like Mackenzie Gore, I do like Ketel Marte. I mean, I wouldn't even mind him as a one-off. He has a, 0.414 ISO against left-handed pitching and 496 WOBA. So he has just elite numbers. Like you said, been one of the best hitters in baseball. So I could see maybe him as a one-off, not really looking to stack here. They have been playing a little bit better as of lately, but yeah, probably just more one-offs for me.
Yeah, Marte, Gurriel, Walker, Grichuk, Blaze Alexander. I don't think I had full stack. I could see using Arizona in like a 2 or 3 man on DraftKings where you're running like 5-man stack and want to run it back with a lower owned mini stack. Mackenzie Gore is going to be, I feel like he's going to be somewhat popular in the slate. So I don't think the Diamondbacks will get a lot of ownership. So don't hate them for large field tournaments. Washington bats. It'd be interesting to see if CJ Abrams is back or not.
Exactly.
He had the MRI on his wrist on Wednesday when he got scratched. So I think it was like him and I think it was Corbin Carroll like ran into each other on Tuesday. So
That's right.
Abrams is back. What do you like here for the Washington bets?
Yeah, it kind of does depend if Abrams is in the lineup or not. I mean, obviously, if he is, certainly have interest in him. Yeah, I mean, they obviously have some good stolen base upside, so I don't mind getting to, I mean, you've got Lane Thomas, the top of that order a little bit, Lane Thomas, Jesse Winker, Rosario, Abrams. But yeah, probably not a stack that I'm looking to get a ton, but certainly don't mind them either.
Yeah, I think Washington's interesting. I don't think it's like a full stack spot, but I think they're an interesting team to potentially play like mini stacks of. There's going to be runs scored in this game. I mean, especially against Nelson, he has a low strikeout rate. Like I said, he gives up hard contact to both sides. So Winker, Rosario, Meneses, Garcia. If Abrams is back in there, I think they're interesting. Jacob Young is a stolen base threat anytime he gets on base, and it's a high contact matchup. So, you don't necessarily hate that for him. So I think Washington very much in play today for mini stacks. I need some mini stacks of pancakes for breakfast. Already talking mini stacks so much. Seattle at Cleveland, 8.5 total in this one. Mariners a 118 favorite. We got Luis Castillo and Logan Allen facing off against each other. Any interest here in Luis Castillo?
Yeah, Luis Castillo is someone. I mean, he's definitely had some upside. He's got a 25.1% K rate on the year, pretty low walk rate. Cleveland has been playing pretty well, and they've got some batters in the lineup that, that certainly could be tougher for him too. So, but I do like him. I mean, he's at a decent price point at 9,200, so I think he's in the GPP pool for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm going to probably pass on playing a lot of Castillo today. Like, he won't be in like a main lineup or even like 300 max lineups for me today. I like Luis Castillo as a pitcher. I hate playing right-handed pitchers against the Guardians. They just don't strike out. They typically only have two guys in their lineup with strikeout rates over 15% against right-handed pitching. Like, they have the lowest strikeout rate in baseball. There's just not a lot of upside. And his strikeout rate is much lower against lefties, and they're probably going to hit 6, 7, 8, maybe even 8 left-handed hitters here. So I hope Castillo gets some ownership today. I don't necessarily love him in this spot. Logan Allen on the other side, we've been targeting, pitchers against this Seattle team all season. They are even worse against left-handed pitching. They strike out at a huge clip. Logan Allen's kind of like an average strikeout pitcher, not typically going to throw more than like 80, 85 pitches in a start. He's been okay recently. I think he's playable at 7,200 on DraftKings today.
Yeah, I was just going to say his price has really come down now. It's in the range where I think you definitely have to consider him. And like you said, we've been targeting these Seattle bats. They strike out a ton there. So I like that. And I think he's right in that mid to lower tier as a nice SP2 for us.
Yeah, listen, we're going to pay up for some bats. There's some really good bat spots on the slate. We got Chris Flexen. We got Ty Blotch against the Dodgers. Like, there's plenty of bats, that we're going to want to pay up for. So attacking a cheap pitcher, I think, is fine. Let's talk bats on the Seattle side. Any Mariners that you like here?
For Mariners, for me, maybe taking, although Julio Rodriguez hasn't been great against left-handed pitching, still always have some interest in him. So, maybe him, maybe Cal Raleigh, a couple bats like that. But yeah, probably not a ton that I'm targeting. Probably more interest in Logan Allen.
Yeah, I mean, Julio Rodriguez, Cal Riley, Ty France. Like, if you want to run that little like 3-man, I don't hate that. Like, when Logan Allen does struggle, it's like power righties. And I'm not saying that like Ty France is a power righty, but he's good enough. Cal Riley has a ton of power against left-handed pitching. Julio Rodriguez is eventually going to start hitting baseballs hard again. So I just don't mind that 3-man there. On the Cleveland side, tough matchup against Castillo. Good offense. Any interest here in the Cleveland bets?
Yeah, I mean, I always have interest in, like Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez and some of those guys. So yeah, I do. I think some of those are fine plays on the Cleveland side.
Yeah, I mean, Jose Ramirez is having a phenomenal year. Josh Naylor striking out only 14% of the time this year against right-handed pitching. He's having another great year.
Yeah.
Schneemann, ever since he's gotten called up, he's hitting. So I don't mind him as a cheap like outfielder third base. He should hit like 6th or 7th in this lineup. He's like 2,500, but yeah, I mean, ever since he's gotten called up, he's just hitting. So I don't mind Schneemann here for Cleveland as well. Tampa Bay at Minnesota, 8 total. In this one, Minnesota a slight favorite here. We got Little against Woods Richardson. Any interest here in Zach Little?
Not a ton for me. I mean, I actually have more interest on the Twins side. I mean, who they've actually been improving, just like looking at the ISO, the team ISO. They're actually I believe they're in the top 5 now for team ISO. So more interest in them. I know Littell has 21.4% K rate. He does have just a 4% walk rate. So, I mean, I think you could use him, but I actually have more interest on the Twins side of things.
Yeah, I think this is a spot where, again, we have a below average strikeout pitcher. The regression monster is finally starting to hit him a little bit, and we've seen him kind of dip off here in the second half of the season. He started the season throwing good outings, but I mean, really has been getting hit hard recently, and at least 3 earned runs in 4 straight games, and he's allowed at least 1 home run in 6 straight games. So we're going to be talking about the Twins bats, who are very underrated as an offense.
They are.
Go other side, we got Woods Richardson. I mean, eventually this guy's going to have some regression. His advanced stats do not like him. Do we take shots on him cheap here against Tampa?
I don't mind it. I really don't. Yeah, I mean, he's sitting at a 20.2% K rate on the year. There's just a couple bats in that lineup. I mean, Brandon Lau is back in the lineup. So, I mean, I think he's someone that could give him trouble. Isaac Paredes. But I don't mind taking shots on him. I really don't. I think he's someone that you could. The Tampa Bay offense as a whole doesn't scare me a ton. So I certainly don't mind that at his price point at just 7,400 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I think he's another one of those cheap pitchers that you could put in your player pool today. Not expecting him to go out and get like 30 fantasy points, but I think he could get 15 to 20 in this spot. So I think he's another guy that we could potentially take some shots on the low end. Any interest in the Tampa bats against him?
Yeah, really. The only Tampa Bay bats that I would maybe consider are Brandon Lau, maybe some Isaac Paredes. There are some, Randy Arozarena has gotten, fairly cheap, and Josh Lau, a few of those pieces are cheap, but probably just Brandon Lau for me.
That's the only guy that I have any interest in here. This team has really been struggling. One of the reasons that I think you could play Woods Richardson is because of how much this team's been struggling.
Yep.
One of my favorite potential secondary stacks in 4-4 stacks is going to be Minnesota today. I really like this spot for them. I know you were kind of alluding to it as well. Yep. What are your thoughts here on the Twins?
Yeah, I do. I like them a lot. I mean, when you start to look at some of their numbers, I think people would be surprised to see where they're at for ISO. They're at 0.198 ISO as a team so far this year against right-handed pitching. And I think Royce Lewis would be talked about a lot more if it wasn't for Aaron Judge having just such an amazing season, because his ISO 0.571, WOBA 0.533. I mean, his numbers are so elite. And really, you've got guys like Willie Castro. Trevor Larnach has actually been playing really well. Max Kepler, Carlos Correa. I mean, Buxton's been batting down in the order. But I really like kind of the 1 through 7. I could even throw Carlos Santana in there too. But I just think, like you mentioned, they're an underrated offense. And I think they're definitely someone we want to have interest in targeting tomorrow.
Can't stop yawning. Yeah, I mean, this is a team that if we look at how good they have been over the last month and a half, they are up towards the top of baseball. So yeah, very underrated, top 10 in a lot of statistics, even throughout the season. So really like Minnesota in this spot. I think it's a good low-owned spot that a lot of people won't be playing today. Houston at Chicago, taking on the White Sox, 9 total in this one. Houston a 180 favorite. We got Spencer Arguetti against Chris Flexen. What are your thoughts here on Mr. Spaghetti?
Mr. Spaghetti. I know, he's someone I actually played him a bit like his last outing against Detroit, and it wasn't a good outing for him. They took him out quite early in the game. But I don't mind going back to him. I mean, he gets a good matchup against the White Sox. He is priced up a little bit more. He's 7,600, I guess. Don't mind it just because of the matchup that he gets. And he does have a 25% K rate. And, there's some decent strikeouts in the White Sox lineup. So certainly don't mind getting some exposure to him.
Yeah, if he's going to be chalky, I mean, I might end up playing a little bit more like Allen and Woods Richardson over Argetti. Like, I'm just not a believer yet. Like, I know a lot of people like this guy. I hate what I see in his command. He gives up a lot of hard contact. He leaves a lot of pitches over the plate. I actually stacked against him, last time out against Detroit because he was chalky and I thought it was a good leverage spot. Still didn't take down a tournament with a Detroit stack, so it happens. I like him in this spot. This is a bad offense, but if he's going to be chalky, I think this would be another underweight spot. And I really do at the end of the day think he's going to be pretty popular here
So.
because he's under 8K. He gets the White Sox.
Yep.
And the bats. We want to pay up for bats today. So if he's going to be really chalky, I'll be underweight. I can tell you for certain, though, I'm not playing Chris Flex on the other side of this game.
That's for sure. I know I had him pulled up in Plate IQ, and I mean, it's just red all over the place. I mean, his numbers are not good anywhere at all, no matter what way you slice and dice it. And I know Houston has struggled a bit, but I think this is a spot where, there's a lot of bats that look really, really enticing. And yeah, definitely no flexing for me.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on the call, White Sox. Just give me a holler. I really do think I could do better than Chris Flexen at this point. All right, let's talk Astros bats. They're dealing with some injuries right now. Obviously we know that Tucker's out. Jordan Alvarez is dealing with a personal matter. So we don't know if he'll be back or not for this game. But, I mean, Chris Flexen's on the hill. I think you just have to close your eyes and play some Houston bats today and include them in your stack.
I think you're exactly right. And I think there's just a lot of pieces that are cheaper too, just because they are dealing with injuries, like you said, with Tucker being out and with Alvarez having some personal matters to tend to. So yeah, Altuve, Dubon, Bregman, Diaz, Pena, and then the bottom of the order too. I just think, against Flexen, everybody's in play.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be pretty. You're not going to feel great about a Houston stack because, there's just so many people out right now, but you're also getting a lot of cheap bats. So you could feel really good about the pitching that you're going to have behind here. So yeah, I mean, and if Cooper Hummel cracks the lineup again at catcher, he's 2,100 here. And they've been using him a little bit in the catcher position and then DHing Diaz. If Alvarez is out again, I could see one of those guys DHing and Hummel getting another start here. So, and they played him in the outfield a little bit as well. So, can kind of play all over the place. Oh, I guess they called him up to play him in the outfield. I thought he was a catcher. I could be wrong, but I thought I'm 90% sure this dude was a catcher at some point. I don't know why I'm going to trust my gut. He was a catcher at some point. White Sox bats, I know it's not pretty, but I mean, this might be a spot that is a good leverage spot today.
I was actually just going to say the same thing. It's if our Mr. Spaghetti pitcher is going to be popular, then I think, yeah, absolutely. It is a leverage spot. And if you look, I know it's just, 58 plate appearances for Luis Robert since he's been out a good chunk of the season, but he has really good numbers. Paul DeYoung has been playing, really pretty well and has very good numbers against right-handed pitching. So I think getting to some of those bats is a very good leverage stack idea. And I certainly don't mind, kind of that 1 through 6 in the White Sox order, Tommy Pham, Sheets, Luis Robert, Vaughn, Benintendi. I know he had a home run tonight, Paul DeYoung, some of those guys.
Gavin Sheets, Luis Robert are two guys that I'd love for leverage in the spot. Benintendi, I know he has it in him. It just hasn't been a good year. I like Tommy Pham. I would play like the top 5 or 6 guys in this lineup if I was going to leverage stack them. I will leverage stack them. I'll tell you right now, like I will have at least one White Sox stack on the slate.
I think you have to. I think it just makes sense, like you said, just based on what we think the popularity will look like for Mr. Spencer there.
All right, we got Dodgers, Rockies, 12 total. Dodgers a 250 favorite. Gavin Stone, Ty Blotch. Any interest in Gavin Stone in course?
I typically don't play pitchers very often in Coors. So probably not. I'm sure you could make a case for it. He is only 7,800, but I actually don't mind some of the Colorado bats. I think I know they're not a great offense, but I targeted them tonight. There's actually some younger players in the offense that actually profile decent, and Ryan McMahon is always kind of a favorite one-off of mine. So I would say I don't have a ton of interest, but I could see if someone, gets there. He only has an 18.3% K rate so far this season. Doesn't walk a ton of batters, but not a ton of interest for me.
Yeah, he's done a great job limiting power this season, but still a well below average strikeout pitcher in Coors. It's just really tough to play a guy where you're really hoping he goes out and gets like 15 fantasy points. So I don't think I want to do it on Gavin Stone today. The Rockies' offense is definitely an offense I like to pick on. A lot of strikeouts in this lineup, but I just don't know if Gavin Stone's the guy. Other side, Ty Blotch. Talk about below average strikeout pitcher. This dude has a 12% K rate.
I know.
And he's really bad against righties. I'm not even remotely even thinking about playing him today.
No, it's not good. You look at the numbers for the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers are obviously going to be the top offense by far again tomorrow in Coors Field. They just look great. And then obviously we know the bullpen behind Ty Blotch is not good. So it's looking to be an elite day for the Dodgers. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't overthink putting the Dodgers today. I would just play them.
That's right.
Yeah, they're the top stack on the slate. Like, it's just not one of those spots you want to overthink. Play some Ohtani lefty at 7K because he'll probably have a little bit lower ownership. Freeman at 7 or 6,300 lefty. But Teoscar, Will Smith are fantastic plays here. But really, anybody that cracks the lineup for me, very much in play for the Dodgers. Let's talk Rockies bats, though. Talk about Gavin Stone being a below-average strikeout pitcher, doing a good job this season limiting power. I know you mentioned some of the guys that you like already for the Rockies. What are your final thoughts here on them?
Yeah, I really don't mind taking a shot and even going into some GPPs playing some of these Rockies. I know, they struggle and can strike out quite a bit, but I like Brenton Doyle. I like Ryan McMahon. Ezekiel Tovar has been good. Michael Toglia, if he's in the lineup, I don't mind him. I think some of those guys are, decent, 4 to 5 man stacks that you could put in there, and they'll be much lower owned, even though they're in Coors. So I like sometimes playing the other side of it. And so, certainly don't mind getting to that stack at all.
Derek in chat mentions that Teoscar left the game. I saw that, but I didn't see the reasoning why. So we'll be paying attention to that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, Rojas should be in there. Vargas should be in there. Kiki Hernandez is cheap. Taylor, I mean, definitely if Teoscar doesn't give it a go, Taylor would be in there. So
exactly.
We'll have to kind of see. We keep going. We got 2 left. I thought we were on the last game. We got 2 left. Kansas City at Oakland, 7.5 total. Kansas City a 144 favorite. Seth Lugo, Mitch Spence facing off against each other here. Seth Lugo's having a really solid season. He's been a lot worse here recently as far as just like pure fantasy wise. He's pitching well, like actual real life pitching well, at least 6 innings in 5 straight. I think he's gone at least 6 innings in all but 2 starts this season.
Yep.
What are we doing with Seth Lugo at 9,500 on DraftKings against Oakland?
I know, that's just it. He is expensive. It was back in, it was probably a month ago in May. He had a matchup against Oakland. He put up 28.6 DK points, 20% K rate. Oakland can be pesky. So, it wouldn't surprise me if they put up a few runs, but I also do I think he's a good enough pitcher that, I'll definitely have him in my GPP pool. Not in my single entry, but I think you can easily put him in your GPP pool for sure.
Yeah, I worry about the upside with the price point. I know, like you said, he had a 28-point game earlier this year against them. He was striking out guys at a lot higher clip earlier this season. So his strikeouts have dipped down a little bit. Some of it is like some spin rate stuff. So that's always concerning. And like we've known he's had a pretty low BABIP this year, and there was going to be some positive or negative regression coming for Seth Lugo. So if he's getting a lot of ownership just because he's facing Oakland today, he's another guy that I don't mind being underweight for. I mean, I think like a guy like Mackenzie Gore has a higher ceiling overall. Like Mackenzie Gore's strikeout ceiling is much higher. So I just worry about the upside for Lugo. I think I'll definitely have him in my player pool. It's just a guy that I probably won't end up being like overweight on here. Mitch Spence on the other side. Any interest in Mitch Spence here?
I really don't. I mean, he is cheap, but the Kansas City offense has just been so good, and they just have a lot of power in that lineup with Bobby Witt and Salvador Perez and Vinny Pasquantino, Miguel Garcia. So he has an 18.6 K rate this year on the season, but yeah, probably not a ton for me. There's a few others that I know that we've talked about maybe in that lower range that I have more interest in.
Yeah, he's a pitch to contact guy. Like he tries to go out there and generate ground balls and limit power. That's what he does. So just not a guy we're going to play at DFS very, very many times this year. So pass on Mitch Spence here. Let's talk about those Kansas City bats. You kind of mentioned everybody, right? Witt, Pasquantino, Perez, Melendez, Garcia. This is a team that I think is very stackable today to either stack with the Dodgers or to pivot a little bit off of the Dodgers.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I do like all of those bats, and they all have really good numbers, and especially the kind of the top, the 1 through 5. So yep, I do like them as a stack, and especially if they come in even just a little bit lower owned.
Any interest in the Oakland bats here?
If you're mass multi-entering, I could see putting together an Oakland stack just kind of as a leverage stack. As good as Lugo is, I think Oakland at times can put up some decent numbers and have some pop, and they're a little bit cheaper. So don't mind that, but I'm certainly not getting to that in single entry or 3 to 5 entry max.
Yeah, I don't even think it's like a 20 entry max play. I think you're getting Oakland on like a 150 build today. Like, and you don't feel necessarily great about it. I don't mind like one-offing like Blade or Roker or Langeliers. But I'm not stacking against Lugo even in a 20 entry max type of contest here.
Exactly.
Baltimore, New York is where we finish 8.5 total. Yankees a 140 favorite. Cole Irvin, Luis Gil. Any interest here in Cole Irvin?
No, I really don't have any interest in him either. He is 8,200. I mean, he's had some decent outings. His K rate's only 17.8% on the year though. And I know with Judge being out, maybe lessens that Yankees lineup just a bit, but they still have, I mean, the Yankees are in the top 3 for team ISO on the year. So I like the Yankee side of it more. And so not a lot of interest in Irvin for me.
Yeah, I mean, below average strikeout pitcher against one of the lowest strikeout teams in baseball. It's a really tough spot not to have a lot of contact made. So like DFS purpose wise, I just don't think Cole Irvin's a guy that's going to go out and put up like 25 plus in the spot. Yankees lineup banged up a little bit right now, but I think it's still good enough where I don't want to play Cole Irvin today.
Exactly.
Luis Gil is where it's really interesting. We know that Luis Gil is very capable of big games, and his strikeout rate sitting at 30%. It might be one of those spots where, like, in a 20 entry 150 type build, where you play some Gil and you play some Baltimore on other teams, but his strikeout rate's too high not to have some interest on this smaller slate.
It is, because it's just it's such an elite number at 30.4%. It's just he has just a tough draw with the top team in baseball for ISO on the year. So absolutely, I think I want to have exposure to both. And anytime you have Baltimore on the slate, I'm going to make sure that I have them in my GPPs because they just have, 1 through 9 is capable of putting up some good numbers. That's for sure.
There's not a weak spot in the lineup. I mean, they're top to bottom. Baltimore is a very scary lineup.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, I definitely think you could stack Baltimore on teams that you're not playing Gil. Yeah, I mean, I like the spot for Baltimore today. The other side, I mean, I think the Yankees are in play too. I don't like them as much as I do typically, but like when Cole Irvin struggles, it's right-handed power. Well, we know Stanton is one of the best right-handed power bats in baseball. We know that like Torres is very capable. Volpe, I mean, I don't mind getting some Yankee exposure on the slate.
Yeah, same. I completely agree. Like I said, it'd be really great if Judge was in there, but yeah, Volpe, Soto, Stanton, Torres, DJ LeMahieu. I think he was bad. Not that he's great, but I mean he's cheap and he was batting 6th tonight. So yeah, certainly don't mind that at all. I think they make a good GPP stack.
The catcher too, Trevino, he's been really good against been really good against left-handed pitchers this season. I think he has like home runs in like 3 of the last 5 or 6 games or something too, if I remember correctly when I was looking at it earlier. So I just wanted to throw his name out there as well. All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here. Day baseball. I'm on crunch time, like I mentioned. I'm on there with Cardi and Roth, Dean, Blender, and Will on Grinders Live at 11 Eastern tomorrow morning if you want to check that out. And don't think there's a late show tomorrow. I think there's only like 1 or 2 games. So all the stuff happening in the morning for a day slate here. Under 8,000 to get 6 or more strikeouts. Who do you got today?
I am going to go under 8K. I am actually going to take a shot on, let's see. I'm going to go with Simeon Woods Richardson.
Yeah, don't hate that one. I'm going to go Logan Allen to get back in the strikeout column here. Over 8K to score under 15. Who's your bust today?
My bust for today is... It was over 8K?
Yep.
Over 8K, I'm going to go Cole Irvin.
Yeah, I like that. Low strikeout team, low strikeout pitcher. I'm going to go, I got to go Luis Castillo. I just don't like the spot against Cleveland for Castillo today. Under 15 against them earlier this year, too. So over 4K to hit a home run, not in cores. Who do you got going yard today?
Going yard today, I am going to go with over 4K.
Yep.
Let's go. I'm going to go Max Kepler.
Oh, off the board. I like that.
Yep.
I feel like that's off the board anyway. So
yep. I like Max Kepler there.
Yeah, I like that. There's a lot of options up here. I think I'm going to stay in that Minnesota game and go Royce Lewis for a home run today. He's hitting the ball very good right now. Under 4K to get 2 hits. Who's a cheap bat that you like today?
Cheap bat that I'm going to go with for today is I am going to go with Gavin Sheets.
Oh, you took my guy.
Really?
Yeah. Like everyone already knew. Like chat probably already knew that I was gonna say Gavin Sheets. Like
that's your guy.
That's my guy. No, it's fine. It's fine. I always write down 2 just in case. But like Gavin Sheets is my guy. No,
should have known that.
I like Gavin Sheets a lot. You're always worried a little bit about pinch hit risk, but I really like Trevor Larnach today. I think this is a guy that just can get the job done. So that's usually the second name that I had written down. I also like Brandon Lau on non-Woods Richardson teams, hitting the ball really well since coming back from injury. So stack to score 6 or more runs. Who's scoring some runs today?
Yeah, we've talked about him a lot as being an underrated offense, but I really like the spot for the Twins. I know you do too, but they're priced right too. So just really like them.
Yeah, I like the Twins a lot. I'm going to go Royals going up against Mitch Spence. He's a pitch to contact pitcher. I think the Royals, they have stolen base upside. They have plenty of ways to get the job done and score 6+ runs. So I like the Royals. I was looking for some like player props. I didn't see anything out in a lot of spots yet. Is there anything that you saw that you liked here?
No, nope, I haven't either. Haven't had a chance to really dive into that yet either. So no, haven't. No props for me yet.
I will be, and we hit yesterday's. What did we had? Garrett Crochet over 6.5. We hit that one. I'll be looking at Logan Allen's strikeout rate. I hope it, or strikeout prop. I hope it comes in at like 4.5. It probably comes in at 5.5. But if it comes in at 4.5, I really like Allen's strikeout prop. And then like I've been taking like Argetty's like under outs a lot. Like even when he's had some decent games recently, he's thrown a lot of pitches and not pitched deep into games. And they typically have it in like the 16, 17 and a half range. So that's another one that I'll be looking for tomorrow. Any run totals or lines that you like on the betting side?
Yeah, let's see. Hadn't really looked at that either before we started. Yeah, nothing really stands out, I guess, Stevie, at this point.
Yeah, you can still get this at Caesars and bet 365, but I like Royals minus 140. I think this is a really good spot. Seth Lugo's done a fantastic job this season limiting the damage. Mitch Spence is a pitch to contact guy. So I like this at minus 140. I was able to grab it up 140 on Hard Rock before it moved a little bit. I think it's at like minus 145 now, but like Kansas City minus 140. Christy, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I actually, like you said, day baseball's great. It's a really great slate, actually. A lot of interesting ways to go. So, no, looking forward to it tomorrow, and great to do a show with you.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we haven't been able to do one in a while. So, know you're crushing baseball season. Appreciate you joining me. I hope everyone has a fantastic Thursday. We're back Friday talking more baseball. That's what we do. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you then.